We've already completed section 1, the right front, section 2, the right back, section 3, the right side, section 4, the right side seam. And we've already completed the left back and the left front. Now it's time to work section 7, the left side, where we again mimic what we have done on the right side, where we work the front stitches and the back stitches together towards the sleeve and towards the side seam. So these are going to be the exact same thing except for the setup. So what you'll find in the pattern is that there is a setup for the left side because the marker placement is a little different here from here. And then you'll repeat the right side instructions. The setup of section 7, the left side, starts where section 6, the left front, ended. And I'm actually just going to work across all those stitches of the front until I reach the end. And the only difference is I'm going to purl the last stitch. Otherwise, I'm going to work in pattern the full row. After purling that last stitch of the front, I'm going to turn around and cast on stitches with a cable cast on for the top of the shoulder. For the cable cast on, I turn my work to the wrong side and then I insert the right hand needle between those last 2 stitches of the row. Make sure you don't catch anything else. And then you pick up a stitch and then you twist your needle a bit and bring that stitch to the left hand needle. And you repeat that as often as the pattern tells you to do. I only need to cast on 2 stitches. So I've cast on 1 few that I'm going to need in total. But I'm going to show you how to do it one more time. So you insert the needle through those 2 stitches and place it onto your left hand needle. So after casting on as many stitches as the pattern tells you to do, you place a stitch marker and then you cast on 1 more stitch. So I'm going to insert the needle between the last 2 stitches again. I'm just trying to not drop the stitch marker while I do it. Pull a loop through and place the stitch on your needles after the stitch marker. So now there's 1 last stitch cast on after the stitch marker. Then it's time to turn around. And this is where the stitches of the left back come back into place. So they are still parked here on the cable of my circular needles. And I'm going to slide them to my left hand needle. And this is where you want to make sure that there is nothing twisted here, especially here with the shoulder. You want to make sure there is all the right sides are facing out. And you slide all the stitches to the left hand needle. And then you continue working the stitches of the left hand needle. And we're going to work them in pattern. We're not going to knit the first stitch anymore because it's not an edge stitch anymore. So I'm just going to work in pattern, and I'm going to start here with purl stitches because that's what my pattern kind of calls for. And I work across all the stitches of the left back as they come. Here I'm going to work 1 by 1 right purl crosses, and on the front I had left purl crosses. So careful, the crossing changes after the marker. I've just worked the setup row on the wrong side as established with knit 1 and slip 1 with yarn in front until I've reached 2 stitches before my stitch marker. And these 2 stitches I'm going to knit them together. And this stitch now is my center stitch. The center stitch is the middle stitch of the row, but it's also the stitch that sits on top of the shoulder, so the center stitch that is on top of the shoulder. And this is where we're going to later make those decreases that form the slanted shoulder, just like we've done on the right side. After this decrease here, I slip the marker and I work as established with knit stitches and slip 1 with the yarn in front until I reach the end of my row. The remainder of this section is basically the same as we have done on the other side of the sweater, and the instruction actually say to repeat the right side. So I'm not going to show you each step again, but I wanted to show you the decrease that is at the top of our shoulder here when those 2 traveling stitches come together. The decrease that I'm going to work here is called SK2P, which stands for slip, knit 2 together, pass stitch over. And I'm going to show you how to do this, first in Continental and then in English style. For the SK2P, I'm going to slip the first stitch knitwise, knit the next 2 stitches together, and pass the slipped stitch over. For the SK2P, I'm going to slip the first stitch knitwise, knit the next 2 stitches together, and pass the slipped stitch over. When I'm finished with section 7, I should be at exactly the same point as I was when I finished the right side. So we can have a quick look at what you have here at the center of the row of your sleeve stitches that are on hold, and I have just had a decrease and then purled over this decrease in the middle here once, and I have the exact same thing right here. So that means that those 2 sides are a mirror image of each other and are the same length. So now it's time to continue with the next section.